Happy holidays, everyone. We're back with another episode of 12 Days of Giving, and this one's going to get spicy, and it's designed in that way. We want you to be understanding you're not alone in the situation that you are living. There are resources and avenues through this. Jay's been on before. You know him. You know about him. The whole child-free financial planner, guru, expert of all. And here we are today with something that's going to be really relevant to majority of us that I work with from Black Man's perspective and that you work with as well, Jay. So welcome back on. I'm very happy to have you on. I am not very happy we have to go through is what we're going to go through, but I am glad that us as resources and us as colleagues can attack this side by side.
Thanks for having me. And it's interesting. Just kind of pull back the curtain. We literally had a meeting before us going, are you okay talking about this? Are we like, and we were both like, yep, let's go. And I love that we have a place that we can have some frank conversations.
Right. Absolutely. So let's bring the bullshit out. Let's bring it. What have you been working with and going through with clients in just the, from the election perspective and now into the holidays?
So let's be real. We're recording this on beginning of November, just after election. I've spent most of the week working with my clients, my team members, others who frankly were in tears for most of it. Let's just call that out. We had actually, as a team, we recorded a podcast in advance on like how to go to the holidays and have conversations with your family about being child free or not. Because it's always a controversial, like just how do you set boundaries? And then the election went the way it went. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, how do we have these conversations with people that don't believe the same things? And how do we protect ourselves from a safety standpoint? So we've been having a lot of conversations, this childless cat lady stuff, a lot of people, the targeting of the LGBTQ plus, our clients that are undocumented, like, what do you do? And like, let's be real, half the meeting is like almost like a grieving process. Like, I thought I was safe. I thought I was comfortable. I know I'm a little different. I got something in my life that maybe isn't the quote unquote the norm. We'll ignore what that really means, but like, okay, then it shifts to what happens if my way of life is being targeted. And I don't mean like targeted, like just like people said stupid stuff for years, the judgments, all that. But what happens if the government truly starts targeting me, changes the way my marriage works, changes the way my structure is? Our child-free clients, reproductive rights, and how, do I have control of my own body? And you gotta pause and go, am I catastrophizing? Like, am I like the sky is falling? Or is this a planning opportunity? Like, what do we do to make sure we're safe? Do we have to move? Do we have to move out of the country? What do we have to do with our finances, our legal stuff? And I don't know. And I'm going to ask you, what do you think? Are we catastrophizing by like creating a plan for this? Or is like, that just good planning?
It's a very, very good question. Right. And I've been going through it this week, and off air, we were talking about the meetings I've been having as well. And I think it's good planning. I think it's good planning to a degree, right? I'm not telling clients to go move out of the country type of situation, but we need to be able to prepare for these things because not only is the rhetoric out there, but there's actual movement legally happening right now that makes us do that, right? There's usually a lot of talk. We hear a lot of talk with any politician, right? We'd also talked about, it doesn't matter which side you're on, there's always fraud and they're corrupt, they're politicians. It's when the steps legally start to be being taken to remove some of those rights that we have an issue. And I believe that's why we're having this conversation and you're having conversations with clients is we got to plan for it. And we need to plan for it now. The question is, how do you plan for this unknown and where does it come from?
Yeah, and I'll start with my own story. So let's be fully transparent. I'm a straight, married, white male. I'm not the target of a lot of this stuff. Like, yeah, but like I'm not the target. All right. But my friends, my family, my clients are. And I believe I have a responsibility to speak for those who can't. Where we're having the discussion saying, some of the people, especially in the child-free community, like they just need to go hide for a bit. Like, and I don't blame them. And my staff said to me, "Hey, if you're going to speak, I do a lot of press. And are you worried about your safety?" I'm like, I kind of am, but somebody has to do it. So let's take a step back. My morning of the election results come out about 5 a.m. I see what's going on. Just getting waken up, and I can hear my wife in tears, and I'm like, "Oh, I know where the news went before I even looked at it. Yeah, let's go look." And she works in public health, specifically around food insecurity and a lot of those programs. Well, if you haven't followed the plans, those are programs that are probably going to get slashed. Let's just be real. Um, and we had the discussion by 8 o'clock that morning. We're like, okay, what do we need to change? We were actually looking at moving to be closer to family, but we had the discussion like, hey, her job might be at risk because it's all government funded public health programs. We have to pause our plans and shift. And we're actually not going to move now. We're going to kind of batten down the hatches just a little bit, take a moment back, but to be safe. Now, we are in a privileged position for that. We have work, we're financially secure, our personal safety. There's a worry, but it's not as worried as it is. And we were able to come up with a solution before breakfast. I think there are others where, depending on your financial situation, your personal, what you're worried about get target, it's not the same. So I met with clients that afternoon and quite a few in tears, kind of like, one of the first questions, how do I talk to my family when the stuff they're saying is hate filled or talking like, and I really, I don't know if I have an answer, kind of like setting boundaries. There's ways around it, but like, how do I do that when they're okay with this? And one of my ahas was, if you have family or friends that are not worried at all about what's going to happen, they're probably not people you want to hang out with. Like I'm just calling
Right.
it's simple empathy. Like, are you worried about other people or not? And I don't know. Like, it's kind of a litmus test. And I don't even care which party you support, who you vote for, whatever. But are you worried about other people in this? We had to, this election's been the discussion about the childless cat ladies and all that. I was like, oh boy, we're going down that path. And fine. Okay. Elon Musk, before this even started, said childless folks should not have a vote. Like, that's the stuff that's been out there. That's why I'm not on Twitter, or X or whatever he calls it now. Like, you choose who you support. But the question is, first, are you safe? Second, are the people you care about safe? And the third is, okay, and who do you care about beyond that? Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. That's the fundamentals of human rights and like community, right? Like I want to make sure humans, us, we're taken care of. If someone's threatened, naturally as a human, you want to protect. Animals want to do that. They want to protect sometimes, right? And that's where specifically this election, it came down to for me personally was just I want to help and protect people. It's what I do for a living. Why wouldn't I do that with my vote? Now, how afterwards, how do we address that with these people? For me, since 2020, when we went through, and not COVID, I don't know if anyone remembers the civil rights attack in 2020. I feel like it was muddled out because of the COVID, but that happened a lot, and I cut a lot of people out, family, friends, because if you're not there to support me as a human, a black human, then why even give you energy? And now I think we're going back through that whole process again of if you don't care for people that are like me or even my friends or family, then why should I give you any energy from myself? What is
Yep.
the point? Don't care if you're family or friends, because it comes down to just humanity as a baseline, if you will.
It does. So how do you attack it is the first question. And the way I look at it is the first thing is you got to make sure your own home is okay. Whatever that it means to you. Your finances, your job. I have a lot of folks that have federal jobs that go, I might not have a job in 90 days. Okay. Well, we need a plan for that.
Right.
And one of the challenges of Fed jobs, like You're used to like, I'm gonna have this job for 25 years and I'm gonna retire and I'm never gonna like, you haven't been on the job market in 15 years. Like
Right.
it's a different way of thinking. So we got to look at that from a financial standpoint. Got to look at where you're staying. So we are in the South. There's some interesting dynamics of being in the South and being child free. Is that safe for you? We started actually looking at it for our clients. We're like, okay, what states in the United States are safe? And right now, my only answer is probably kind of New Hampshire because they don't really care about like the live free or die state, and maybe some areas of Colorado, some of the big cities. I don't really even like California as a place to go because they're going to get targeted. Like there's going to be these battles. I'm like, but what's safe to you? Do you have to move for your own physical safety, your own sociological, psychological safety? And then what do you need to do to get that plan into place? We do have some clients that are now starting to look at, okay, moving either countries, states, other things. And part of what we're finding is just having a safety plan that allows you to pull the trigger and move is probably the best thing you can do. I got people like looking at other countries or whatever, and I'm like, okay, let's go get you visas. Let's go get citizenship or whatever we need to do. Let's figure out the steps you need. They may never move, and they may not have to. But having that plan is that like warm, comfy blanket to say, I'm okay person. And this is that old school of, put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. You got to do that step first. And I worry about kind of caregiver fatigue. If you're out worried about everybody else and you haven't taken care of your own stuff, you're going to burn out. So I think, I sent a letter out to my clients and I said, hey, here's a whole bunch of questions. What's going to happen to healthcare? What's going to happen to student loans? What's going to happen to jobs? The stock market, I'm less worried about. Okay. Like, what your portfolio is, it'll be fine. It'll work itself out. Tariffs are very regressive in tax. So if you're on the lower income standpoint, it might hurt you. But we don't have any answers. But what are the questions you need to answer for yourself first? Then we can get to helping others. Does that make sense?
It does, because it should ground you. Like, right? If you can, one, just asking yourself those questions, let alone answering them, having a plan, it'll ground you to being okay. Hey, I go to therapy, and my therapist always says, when you're starting to spin, spiral, and have all the anxiety, get both feet on the ground, push down as hard as you can, because it's just physically grounding you. Good Lord, grounding you to make sure that, hey, I'm stable, I'm okay, and then you can breathe and take that step. And that's exactly what that is. And I believe everyone right now needs to do. One, get away from social media for a while. Stop digging so deep into those rabbit holes, and then take this step to answer those questions for you, and really for you, not for your family or your friends around you, but for your core. Like, are we good? And if you can say that, then you can open back up, take a next step, help others. So I agree 100%.
And let's be real. I'm a financial planner and I do business. I charge people money. This might sound a little self-serving, but go with me. I think if you're going to create that plan and be grounded, you need somebody helping you.
Yeah.
Like a third party to just go, am I crazy? Like what, like, is this, what we actually offer, we do something we call the child free checkup. We charge $250 for it, but it goes through all of your finances and looks through a child free lens, that's really what we're talking about here. Okay. Right. Through that lens, what's going to change? And I said to everybody that's on like Instagram, I'm like, hey, grab it. Yeah, it's going to cost you a little money, but we can walk through it with you and ask you good questions and answer questions and go, okay, that's a little far-fetched. You've been on social media for too long. This one's realistic. Like, we need it. We need somebody we can bounce off of that we trust to do it. And let's be real. You need somebody that understands you. So what I tell people whenever they're looking at financial planners, for my folks, I tell them, you ask them how your plan is different because you're child free. If they say, well, it's not different, well, then just walk away. If they say you'll change your mind, walk away. If they say, hey, I don't know, I'm actually okay with that. Like, that's at least working on it. But I think at this time of life, finding somebody that serves people like you, that understands the issues of you, that you can cry on their shoulder with, literally. I mean, I'm not talking figurative. I'm like literally, and go, it sucks. Here's how we're going to get past it. That matters. And I know that's how you have your business up too. But like we are designed. There's now financial planning firms that serve everybody. Like one of my colleagues runs a firm called The Wealthy Parent, and that's all she does. I send my parents there. Like she sends her child for me. Like there's different ones, but they have to understand you, the specific concerns. Because if I'm just stuck in my mind, I can catastrophize forever. And next, like I'm trying to buy a missile silo and bury myself. Like, although right now the missile silo sound pretty good to me. Like, but like, but having somebody that understands that you can talk to. And, the first chapter of my new book, the question is, am I weird? Am I weird? Like, am I like just off base here or not? And that's that grounding you're talking about of just like people like me understanding my issues and looking at this world as is and going, I'm freely commit. I don't have the answers, but I have questions that we can answer together to work through it. I mean, does that make sense of like that connection needed?
That's financial plan. That's the future of financial planning or the current financial planning. I don't like using financial planning much anymore because I feel like it's connotated with investment stuff only. I posted on Threads the other day about how coaches, consultants, advisors that call themselves financial planners they shouldn't, right? Right now we have the CFP. God forbid it needs to be better. I have already said that, but that is our standard, right?
Mhm.
And financial planning is minimal to do with the actual money and investments in itself. It has everything to
Yep.
do with what you just said. Do they have my back? Can I trust them? Can I cry on their shoulder? Are they going to help me through my situation? That's true financial planning or whatever you want to call it nowadays, because that's what humans need,
Yep.
right? That's what we need. Some might say, well, you're trying to be a therapist. No. There is clinical things that I know I
Mhm.
can't touch, and I'll bring in experts, right? Ashley Kwam's part of this series. She comes in and takes care of the therapy side. But there's a lot of avenue before that they just want to hear someone listen to their concerns and what they're going through and help ground them. That is it. Let alone
I'm
of
with
like,
you.
it has nothing to do with numbers or dollars or anything. Nothing. It's just, hey, I've got this concern. I'm not feeling like, help me. And we step in and we can help ground them or at least find an avenue for
Yeah, and 80% of what I do is on the life or behavioral side.
it.
The
Absolutely.
5% is investing, another 5% is like your job, your career, like the number stuff is less than 20% of what I do. And people just don't get that. They'll come to me for investing. I just had a meeting yesterday. Somebody came to me, what about this? And how do I have this? I'm like, your money's fine. Like I can tweak things. There's some things I would do to optimize. Let's spend this hour talking about what do you want to do with your life and what matters to you and how do we make you safe? And they walked out of the meeting, like I said at the end, I'm like, how was it? They go, not what I expected. I go, okay. They said, but it was better. I was like, okay. Like people just aren't used to that, and I think they also don't think about a lot of questions. So we actually, as a firm, started working on a lot of these issues when Roe was overturned. A lot of issues with privacy for our clients. And at the time, I was in Mississippi, and our governor publicly came out and said, hey, I'm not tapping your phones or reading your mail, but, and unfortunately, with financial planning firms, there's not a great way to protect your stuff from the state level. They can come in and read our files at any time. And when I say files, I mean every email, every message, we have to keep it forever. And the worry was, does that make our clients targets? I mean, I named my firm Child Free Wealth. I mean, it does. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I can't hide it. So we actually had to move our firm to being under the SEC because at the federal level, at least historically right now, they don't care. But like, I think it's one of those things people don't think about, like privacy concerns. This is going to be a big topic now. It's one of those things like you got to stop and say, hey, can I comfortably have this conversation and not worry about the government getting in or whatever? And that might sound a little tinfoil hat, but it's not. The discussion we were having was, as state registry, you register with each state, and I had to register with Texas. At the time, Texas had just done that $10,000 bounty on abortion, and I'm like, and somebody had one of the articles like, "Hey, are people moving out of the state for reproductive rights?" And I was like, "They are, but you can't quote me on that because I don't know if that's part of that bounty or whatever." But states were looking for data. We help with your healthcare plans. That's just part of what we do. Like, whether it's end of life or whatever, like, that's part of what we do. And how do you protect people and how do you do that? So we've been doing a lot of work, I moved from kind of what I have to worry about to kind of what my clients have to worry about. Like, how do we protect their privacy? How do we protect them from, I guess, the government? Which really doesn't sound right, but that's part of what we have to do.
How do people listening today, following you, following me, the hell do they know who to trust? Right? They could trust us too, right? And people maybe we know. But a lot of that privacy and everything they're going right now, they don't know who to trust. Their
So I
neighbors
had
and
a,
whatnot. So what do you say to them? Like, how can they move forward with, I don't even know who the hell to trust anymore?
yeah, and it's a huge issue. I had a prospect. I always tell them, ask, you know, how your plan is different to child free. They asked another financial planner, the one they were with, and that person's answer was, "Well, I have other child free clients." And to me, that's like a racist saying, "Well, I have blank
I
friends."
got a black friend. It's fine.
Yeah, but
We're good.
like, I was like, okay, time out. Flag in the play. We're not doing that. And I think we need to figure that out. I think one of the litmus tests for me right now is, do you show any empathy for other people? If the answer is no, why are you going to show it for me? Like that's part of that trust of like, do you have my best interest? And now, by the way, CFPs and RIAs have to do fiduciary standard and blah, 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 blah. But do they truly understand and appreciate you and others? I lost a couple friends after this row got overturned because I was publicly talking about how do you protect privacy of clients. And I had another planner say, well, if they tell me they're going across the border for abortion, I'm going to rat them out. I was like, oh no, I have a problem.
Yeah.
This is a public forum. They're posting this. And I'm like, oh boy. I had to exit that discussion. I just couldn't even like respond. Like I got nothing.
Yeah.
So that question of who you trust is really important. This is the old, I hate to go, but this is the old trust but verify. You have to get there. And I think part of this is we all need to have some humility around this, some vulnerability around this. We need to be able to share, hey, here's where I'm struggling. I get where you're struggling. I might not understand your life completely, okay? I'm a straight white guy. I may not understand the life you're living. I do work with child-free clients, LGBTQ plus, single folks. I understand at least that group as a client base. And I've done things to protect their privacy, to figure out systems. It's still not perfect. And that's where you need to have those questions of like, who do I trust? And I really don't want you to have to like second guess everybody around you, but we're we're talking about the holiday season. Now, there's some family members. I'm just not going to talk about any of this stuff. Like that's it. Like just I might even not. I'm going to try not to even see you at the holiday events if I can, because I don't trust you. We might be blood related, but
That's it. That's all we got.
Unless you have an answer on how do you find people to trust, you really have to trust. You have to trust that what people are saying is what they really are. And so in the financial world, I got an email the other day, and there's like content companies that tell us how to write our emails and all that. I'm sure you've got the spam. And they sent, here's the letter about the politics. And it was like, oh, don't worry, your portfolio will be fine. The stock market tends to do okay. None of these issues were talked about. And I had already sent my letter to my clients by 10 a.m. that morning of like, here's what we're doing. Here's how we're going to do it. And I'm like, it just shows kind of where their priorities, if they're saying it'll all be fine because your stocks will go up. I
Like,
can't trust that.
right? No. To answer your question of like who can we trust within our industry, and I would love this movement to take over, is us, right? And there's more than just me and you. Let's be real. We have a lot of colleagues that we can trust that I would give my entire book to tomorrow, right? We collectively need to be supporting each other more and helping our prospective clients find the ones that they trust even more so. I know I do it, and I know you do it, but as an industry, our job should be connecting people to those that they connect with and trust, and vetting others out for them because they don't know and can't see what we can see and know. And so, like when a prospective client comes to me and they're child free, my conversation is same, but then I'm going to go, you know what? Let's have another meeting real quick. I'm going to get Jay in because he is your guy. Like he is the one who fits this, right? Would love to be your client. You're amazing people, but you need to know the avenue. And I trust him wholeheartedly with everything. That's the conversations. That's what
Yep.
our industry needs to change as opposed to Jay's my competition. And I don't really do child free. I'll just learn from his content, kind of steal it, and I can fit it into my routine. Eh, That's different. We should not be doing that. There's no need for that. What it needs to be is we, as our industry, coming together and saying, you know what, we're going to stand up and get people in where they need to be trusted. Because a lot of people don't understand as planners, we don't just do investments in your insurance and stuff. We are connected to attorneys, accountants, therapists, every professional. And so we can vet them out and have them readily available for you. So you don't have to go, who the hell's Joe Blow over there? And why do they keep emailing me or calling me or spamming me? I can go to James Stoy and be like, hey, do you know Joe? And we're going to be like, yeah, don't trust him. Here's
Yep.
Ashley, here's Scott, whatever. That's where I believe can change and people can start trusting. But that's a big deal.
Well, and I think that's the second part of this discussion, which is you get yourself safe. How do you help others? So one of the things I've been doing as a company, we're actually collecting child-free estate attorneys in all 50 states. It's actually been really hard to find, but like
Yeah.
people that understand us, they understand the differences. They're not going to be over there going, you should do a generation skipping trust or, questioning, we got clients that are unmarried couples. They're not like, hey, you got to get married or like there's a bunch of that. And I think the hard part then is, okay, I'm good. How do I help others? Because I think we're all going to have to help each other. But how do I do that safely? And that's a great question. I got a lot of my clients kind of like, they're like, yep, I'm getting off social media, which by the way, 100% support, like
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
If I could get off social media, I would. I have the business stuff and
Right.
I'm stuck. I joke, the first two jobs I hired out were somebody to clean my house and somebody that does my social media because I don't want to do to my toilets or social media because they're both dirty jobs. Okay. Like it's just, but how do you support and how do you do that safely? I have chosen, I'm going to be doing a hell of a lot more press, a hell of a lot more talking about this. I'm going to be out on some places that really don't want me there talking about this. And I'm going to talk about these issues because I have to give a voice to my people and to the child-free community and to that. That's not my comfort zone. Okay. I don't really want to do that, but I have to. Because if I don't, somebody else you would hope would do it, but might not. Because for others, it might be truly a safety issue. Like, hey, if you're out there publicly talking about it, you're coming home to stalkers and other things. I mean, let's be real on that. So the question is then, okay, can you find other ways to support family, friends, community that may not all of a sudden make sense? So for example, and this is a little bit self-serving, but go with it. I've got a new book coming at the end of the year, The Child Free Guide to Life and Money. Well, one of the things we found out, there's never been a book on the bestseller list that said child free in the title. It's about being seen. Well, you know what you can do? You can call your local library or your independent bookstore and say, hey, how about you carry that book? And you can do that safely. Or, I used to say you could lobby Congress, all that. I'm like, sorry, I'm ignoring all that now.
Yeah.
But like, how can you very quietly reach out to your friends, family, and say, hey, you need a safe place. You need a little extra money, maybe. You need a little support. Call me. How do you support the people in your community that are out taking bullets for you? And that might sound like I'm going to extremes, but no, like That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
And how do you make sure they feel supported? We're actually, as our team and our social medias, we're like, okay, what are we going to do with the haters? What are we going to do with it? I'm actually doing some work on, how do we hide some of our own even company? Like, how do we hide our address from mailing standpoint? Like, are there things like, just so, like there's different things. And I think what we need to do, when I wrote my letter to my clients, my first answer was just take a deep breath. We got a few months to work through this. Let's be real. This is airing closer to like we're running out of time. But the second step is, okay, how do we give each other a hug and be there for each other and also accept support from others? I'm not good at accepting support. I'm just calling that out. I'm always there
Yeah.
to try to help each other. But how do I reach out and go, Stoy, I'm having a bad day, man. Like, and he could just be there to listen and go, yep, I had that last week. I'll call you next week when I have it. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where we need to build that structure. And yeah, financially we need some support, but I think the life, the emotion, those things are the things that really matter.
That's a perfect way to end this, dude. It really is. We can keep going, but that is it. We really need to figure that out. But also, I end all my episodes this way. I want you to like, share, comment, subscribe, and retweet and all those damn things. Not because the algorithm, I don't give two shits about them. But what we care about is the ability for others to see it, for the communication to happen. None of this, you're not in this world alone. And there's experts and professionals out there that are here for you. We just want to be able to hear you. So you need to DM us, you need to email us, you need to reach out so we can be there to help you. Don't think you're in it alone. Reach out. Jay, I appreciate you. Literally appreciate everything that you do. You are out there attacking a different demographic than I am, and I love that fact that I can look over and say, "Hey, he's in the same battle I am. We're all taking shots at it." And so, thank you for doubling down and tripling down, being louder going forward. I'm going to be doing the same with you. And for those that are listening, honestly, we're here for you, and we have others that are here for you. So do not be afraid to just take the step and reach out.
Was sponsored by Black Mammoth. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Black Mammoth. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Black Mammoth website, www.blackmammoth.com. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions and securities, or the rendering of personalized investment advice due to various factors, including changing market conditions. The information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, Black Mammoth do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature and is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results.